entertained by the title you chose for your book.
Hmm.
How did you come to choose that particular title?
Yeah, I had a couple ones, and then I just asked a few people for feedback, and they're like, "Oh, that's the one." And I was like, "Okay, like I like that one too, but it's a little more in your face. The book is a lot gentler than that. It's not, but it is kind of meant to get attention to say like it is this it's kind of this exacerbation I wrote it out of to be like, "Oh, I'm so tired of this of these things harming people and just people not knowing." And and I think that piece of finding myself saying so many times of like, well, how would you have known? It's not like there's a guide out there. I was like, well, why don't I put something together so that even though I'm limited on who I can do therapy with in terms of geographical registration requirements, but it's like anyone can read this and then you can use it. You can use the reflection questions to say like, is this stuff coming up? What do I need to look out for? Because the real like of it was more of that piece where I'm like, this is actually crossing a line. There's stuff that's not helpful, but there's the harm that can happen when people are really not well and they have a charismatic following. The amount of damage they can do to people is I've worked a lot with the aftermath of that. And I wanted to put something out there that helps protect people from people like that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Is there obviously people need to buy the book and read the book and work
They
with.
can get a lot of free stuff too. There's like my website has a free quiz on it. It has some resources from the book that go out for free as a 6-week challenge. One of them is really like some safety checks because again, like there's helpful pieces from the mental health side as well as from the spiritual side, but they tend to be very siloed and very separate. I mean, there is more and more where they come together, but it's not common. So a lot of people, rightfully so, are afraid to bring up things to a psychologist or psychiatrist to be like, I'm talking to my deceased ancestors and angels. It's like, okay, like where do we put that in the DSM model?
And
There's not a
is
lot
there a
there.
room available in the institution?
That's what people are worried about. They're like, am I going to be put in the padded room? Or they're like, am I going to be given antipsychotics? And a spiritual awakening can be, sometimes it's a very helpful, grounded um, process that really increases people's resiliency and is helpful, and it's not a mental health concern. But I've also seen like spiritual influencers say things like, it's like, oh, it's just a spiritual awakening. And it's like, sometimes this is actually a mental health crisis and there are spiritual symptoms overlapping. Like sometimes this is a bipolar episode. It could be a sign of schizophrenia. It could be a traumatic break. Like sometimes people's spiritual awakening, if they have a history of unhealed childhood trauma, like it may not be safe to open that up because it can just kind of splinter the ego and then they're not functional. So it's like it's really individual. And so that's like one of the first things I have is like, is this safe to proceed? If someone you love is going through this and you're like, I'm kind of worried about them because this sounds like off the rocker. It's like, is there a checklist there? It's not meant to replace professional diagnosis, but it's really more of, are you grounded in day-to-day reality? Is your observing ego still online to be like, I know how like quote unquote insane this sounds, so I am careful of who I talk to with it. It's important to have people we can talk with it, but if we think everyone should get it and it's like everyone's experiencing this, then sometimes that's a sign of like there's loss of that observing ego.
Yes, yes. Or that they've just gone temporarily a bit bonkers. I mean, I attended an enlightenment intensive in my
Yeah,
early 20s. It was only
yeah,
3 days long,
yeah.
but I came out of it convinced that the solution to everything was that everyone